The alien planet was silent, but not peaceful. Dark clouds moved slowly across the red sky. Tall black mountains surrounded an ancient stone temple. The air felt heavy, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Inside the temple, strange blue lights glowed on the walls. Alien symbols pulsed like living things. A deep, low chanting filled the space. Echoing again and again. At the center of the temple stood a stone platform. On it was a human woman. Her hands were tied with glowing restraints. Her clothes were torn. Her face was pale, and her eyes were full of fear. She was weak, but she was still alive. Around her stood tall alien priests. Their skin was gray and hard like stone. Their eyes burned with cold belief. To them, this was not cruelty. This was duty. The high priest raised his long crystal blade toward the sky. "Our gods demand life," he said in a deep voice. "Only human blood can save our world." The chanting grew louder. The woman tried to pull away, but the restraints burned her skin. Tears ran down her face. She gathered all her strength and screamed, "I beg you, please set me free." Her voice echoed through the temple. For a brief moment, the chanting stopped. Then the aliens laughed. "Humans always beg," one priest said. "That is why they are chosen." The blade began to lower. Suddenly, a loud metallic sound echoed through the temple. All heads turned. A side door that had been sealed for centuries slid open with a sharp hiss. A single figure stepped. Inside, he was human. He wore a dark suit, damaged and burned in places. A small light glowed on his chest. His face showed pain, but his eyes were calm and focused. The aliens froze. "A human?" One priest whispered. "Impossible." The high priest turned slowly. "How did you enter this holy place?" The human walked forward, his boots echoing on the stone floor. He stopped between the priests and the woman. "She is not your offering," he said calmly. "Let her go." The woman looked at him. Hope filled her eyes, but fear remained. She shook her head slightly, as if to warn him. The high priest laughed. "You dare interrupt a ritual meant to save an entire world?" The human did not raise his voice. "A world saved by murder is not worth saving." The aliens hissed angrily. Their weapons began to glow. "Human," the high priest said, "you stand before gods. Kneel or die with her." The human looked up at the glowing symbols, then back at the priests. "We do not kneel to false gods," he said. The sky outside the temple suddenly thundered. Red lightning flashed through the clouds. The woman cried out again. "Please, just leave. They will kill you." The human turned slightly and spoke softly, so only she could hear. "No one dies here today," he said. The alien stepped closer. The high priest lifted the blade again. "Our gods are watching," he said. "If the sacrifice is stopped, they will destroy your kind." The human took a slow breath. "Then they will learn something new about humans," he replied. At that moment, the glowing symbols on the walls burned brighter than ever before. A deep, unnatural voice echoed through the temple. Not from the priests, but from everywhere at once. The sacrifice must continue. The ground shook. The woman screamed. The human clenched his fists, and outside the temple, something ancient and terrible began to awaken. The temple shook as the strange voice faded into silence. Dust fell from the ceiling. The glowing symbols on the walls slowly returned to their normal light. The alien priests stepped back, frightened but still loyal to their belief. The high priest lowered his blade, but did not turn away from the human. "You heard them," he said. "Our gods have spoken. The sacrifice will happen." The human stood still. He did not reach for a weapon. He did not shout. His calm made the aliens uneasy. "Your gods are lying to you," The human said, Dot. The priests hissed in anger. You know nothing of our suffering, the high priest replied. Our world is dying. He raised his hand, and the air around them changed. Suddenly, images appeared in the air like living memories. Dead forests, dry oceans, broken cities. Alien children crying in empty streets. Our sun is failing, the high priest continued. Our soil is poisoned. Our people starve. The human watched quietly. For centuries, the priest said, our gods guided us. They saved us before. They demanded little. Now they demand human life. The woman on the platform trembled. She looked away, unable to watch. The human turned to the images. And how many humans have you taken? The high priest paused. Enough, he said. The human's jaw tightened. They told us. Another priest added that humans feel deeper fear than any other species. That fear feeds the gods. One death can save millions. The woman whispered, I never hurt anyone. No one answered her. The human stepped closer to the platform. The restraints hummed louder, reacting to his presence. She is not fuel, he said. She is a person. The high priest's eyes burned. Your people abandoned the stars long ago. You hid. You grew weak. The human smiled faintly. You mistake silence for weakness. The priests raised their weapons. Why are you really here? The high priest demanded. To save her? Or to prove something? The human took a slow breath. Both. He reached into his suit and pulled out a small device. It glowed softly, warm and steady. This world can be healed, he said. Not by blood. Not by fear. The priests laughed. Human machines cannot save a planet, one said. The human looked around the temple. You built this place thousands of years ago. You had science once. Your gods took it away and replaced it with faith. The high priest's voice shook. Without the gods, we die. Without them, the human replied, you might finally live. The air grew cold. The glowing symbols suddenly flared bright red. The unnatural voice returned, louder and angrier. The human lies. The priests fell to their knees. Instantly, the woman screamed as pain shot through the E. Restraints. The human clenched. His teeth but did not kneel. You feed on fear, he shouted. That's all you are. The voice laughed. We saved them. You enslaved them, the human answered. The ground cracked beneath his feet. Invisible pressure pushed against his body. His suit alarms began to scream. Still, he stood. The woman cried, please, stop. The high priest looked torn. Sweat formed on his stone-like skin. Our gods promised survival, he whispered. The human turned to him. They promised power, not life. The voice roared again. Kill the human. Alien weapons locked onto the human. For the first time, fear crossed the woman's face, not for herself, but for him. The high priest raised his hand, hesitating. If you are wrong, he said slowly, we lose everything. The human met his eyes. If I am right, he said, you gain your future back. A long silence followed. Then the high priest lowered his hand. Stand down, he ordered. The priests gasped. The voice screamed in rage. You dare defy you? The temple began to collapse. The human rushed toward the platform, reaching for the restraints. Outside, the red sky split, open. Something massive was coming, and the gods were no longer waiting. The temple walls cracked as the sky above screamed. Red light poured through the broken ceiling. The ancient stones shook, and pieces fell to the ground. Alien priests struggled to stand, fear spreading across their faces. The voice of the gods echoed again. Louder than before, you will obey. The pressure in the air became unbearable. The human fell to one knee, but he did not bow. His suit flickered. Warning lights flashed. Blood ran from the corner of his mouth. Still, he looked up. The high priest watched in shock. No one had ever resisted the gods like this. The woman cried out as the restraints tightened around her wrists. Blue energy burned her skin. "Stop!" she screamed. "Please." The human forced himself to stand. "Let her go," he said. His voice low but steady. The gods answered with pain. Invisible force crushed his body. His bones screamed. His breath came in short gasps. One priest whispered, "He should be dead." Another replied, "Why is he still standing?" The high priest slowly rose to his feet. His hands trembled. "Our gods test him," he said, unsure if he believed it. The human laughed weakly. "No," he said. "They fear me." The temple shook again. Images filled the air, dark visions meant to break the human's mind. He saw earth burning. Human cities falling. Children crying in ruins. The woman saw the same images and screamed, "They are lying." The human shouted, "This is what they do." The gods pushed deeper into his mind. They showed him his past. Lost friends. Failed missions. Moments of regret. Pain wrapped around his heart. For a moment, his eyes closed. The priests leaned forward, waiting for him to fall. But then the human opened his eyes again, and they were calm. "You don't understand humans," he said softly. "Pain is how we grow." The gods roared in anger. "You are weak." The human shook his head. "We are stubborn." He reached into his suit and activated a small device on his wrist. A low hum filled the temple. The pressure suddenly lessened. The priests gasped. The gods screamed. "What is this?" The human smiled through the pain. "A human invention," he said. "It blocks fear signals." The high priest stared. "You shield your mind?" "Yes," the human replied. "We learned long ago that fear is a weapon." The restraints around the woman flickered. Hope filled her eyes. The gods reacted fast. The floor beneath the human split open. Dark energy wrapped around his legs, pulling him down. The woman screamed his name. He gritted his teeth and grabbed the edge, muscles tearing. "Run!" He shouted to her. "I can't." She cried. The high priest looked between them. His breathing became heavy. "All our lives," he whispered, "we were taught obedience." He looked at the screaming symbols, at the suffering woman, at the human refusing to break. "And yet," he said slowly, "only one of you shows strength." The gods sensed doubt. Their voice became sharp and cold. "Priest, remember your place." The high priest stepped back. Shaking, the human pulled himself free and stood again, bloodied but unbroken. "You are not gods," he said loudly. "You are parasites." Silence fell. Then the gods laughed. "We created you." The human looked around the temple. "No," he said. "You found them broken." "And stayed?" The truth struck the high priest like a blade. Memories. Returned. Old records. Lost knowledge. Science. Erased. Faith forced. "You used us," the priest whispered. The gods screamed in. Fury. The ceiling burst open completely. Outside, something massive moved within the storm shadows, twisting like living nightmares. The woman cried, "What is that?" The human looked up, his face dark. Their real form. He said, "The gods were coming." And this time, they were no longer hiding. The storm above the temple twisted into a dark spiral. Lightning struck again and again. But this lightning was not natural. It moved like living veins across the sky. The air burned with strange energy. The massive shadows above began to take shape. They were not gods of light. They were beings of hunger. Long forms made of dark energy drifted down from the clouds. Their bodies shifted like smoke, but their eyes burned bright and cruel. The ground shook as their presence filled the temple. The alien priest screamed and fell to the floor. The high priest dropped his blade. Our gods? He whispered. They have never shown themselves before. The human stood between the woman and the descending beings. They never needed to, he said. Fear was enough. The gods spoke, not with sound, but inside every mind. You exist because of us. The woman clutched her head, crying. The high priest forced himself to stand. His voice shook. You promised us salvation. The gods laughed. The sound felt like glass breaking inside the skull. We promised survival. The human looked at the priests. Did your world improve? Silence. The images returned: dying land, empty cities, starving children. The high priest's hands trembled. Our world never healed, he whispered. We only delayed the end. The human nodded. Because they feed, not fix. The gods grew angry. Dark tendrils reached toward the platform. The restraints around the woman glowed brighter, pulling energy from her fear. She is food to them, the human said. Nothing more. The high priest remembered old texts, ancient records hidden by the gods. Stories of a time before sacrifice. Before you, the priest said slowly, we had science. The gods roared. You had chaos. The human stepped forward. You erased their knowledge because it made them strong. One god moved closer, towering above the human. Humanity fell to use too. The human smiled faintly. No, we learned. He activated another device. Blue light spread across the floor, revealing hidden markings beneath the temple stone. Symbols changed old alien science. Symbols appeared. The priests gasped. These are not prayers, one whispered. They are equations. The high priest fell to his knees. They turned our future into religion, he said. The gods screamed in fury. You will kneel. The human shook his head. We already tried that once. Never again. One god lashed out, striking the human with a blast of dark energy. He flew across the temple and hit the wall hard. The woman screamed his name. The high priest rushed to him. Why help us? The priest asked desperately. You owe us nothing. The human coughed, blood on his lips. Because we know what it's like, he said, to believe in monsters that call themselves gods. The gods gathered above, merging into a massive shape. The sacrifice will finish this. The restraints began to tighten again. The woman cried out in pain. The high priest stood between her and the gods. No, he said. Priests stared at him in shock. We have given you everything, the gods hissed. You took everything. The high priest replied. He turned to the human. If we stand with you, can we survive? The human met his eyes. Yes, he said, but not without a fight. Outside the temple, alarms echoed across the planet. In the sky, distant lights appeared small at first, then growing brighter. Ships, human ships. The gods sensed it. You called. Them. The human smiled through the pain. We were never alone. The gods screamed as the first. Human fleet dropped out of hyperspace, and the war for an entire world had just begun. The sky above. The alien world burned with white light. One by one, massive human ships appeared from nothing. They were silent, controlled, and perfectly aligned. No warning shots. No sudden attack. Just presence. The alien people across the planet looked up in fear. Many dropped to their knees. Others ran, believing the end had come. Inside the temple, the gods froze. No, they hissed. They must not interfere. The human pushed himself to his feet. His body ached, but his voice was steady. They are already here. The high priest stared at the sky through the broken ceiling. So many, he whispered. You could destroy us. The human shook his head. That was never the plan. A calm human voice filled the temple. Transmitted from the sky, "This is the human Union fleet." The voice was firm but peaceful. "Release the captive immediately. This is your final warning." The alien priests trembled. Some dropped their weapons. Others cried openly. The gods screamed in rage. "Kill them all." Dark energy surged through the temple. The restraints around the woman tightened again. She screamed in pain. "No!" The high priest shouted. He ran to the platform and placed his body between her and the gods. The gods struck him. He was thrown aside like dust. The human rushed forward, grabbing the platform, holding the restraints back with his own hands. His skin burned, but he did not let go. "Stay with me," he said to the woman. "You're not alone." Outside, the human fleet moved. Not forward. Down. Ships descended gently. Toward the planet's surface, the alien people watched in. Confusion. The gods roared. "They should fear you." The human looked up. "They fear you," he said. "We don't need that." A new message came from the fleet. "We are not here to conquer. We are here to end the sacrifices." The gods panicked. They struck the sky with beams of dark energy. Human shields activated instantly, glowing like walls of light. The beams failed. The gods screamed in disbelief. The high priest struggled to his feet. "You promised us protection," he shouted at the gods. The human turned to him. "They never protected anyone," he said. "Only themselves." The woman's restraints flickered. The human activated his device again. The locks weakened. The gods felt it. "Stop them." They gathered their power, forming a massive storm above the temple. The human fleet did not retreat. Instead, one ship moved forward alone. A single human commander appeared on a hologram. "We will not destroy your world," she said, "but we will destroy your gods." The alien priests gasped. The gods laughed. "You cannot kill us." The human commander's eyes were calm. "We already learned how." The storm above cracked open. The gods released the final scream. And then they attacked the fleet. Sky exploded with fire and light. Dark energy rushed toward the human fleet like a living storm. The gods moved as one, screaming in anger and hunger. Human ships did not run. They formed a wide circle around the planet. Bright shields rose together, connecting like a single wall of light. The gods struck. The impact shook space itself. For a moment, it seemed the gods might break through. Then the human counterattack began. Thin beams of white light fired from the ships. They did not burn. They vibrated. The gods screamed. "What is this?" Inside the temple, the human smiled through his pain. "Frequency weapons," he said softly. "Your kind can't hide from them." The beams cut through the dark forms. For the first time, the gods changed shape not from choice, but from damage. They bled. Black energy leaked into space like smoke. The alien priests stared in horror. "Our gods are wounded," one whispered. The high priest fell to his knees. "They were never immortal," he said. "Only powerful." The woman's restraints flickered wildly. The human grabbed them again, ignoring the pain. With a final surge of effort, the locks shattered. The woman collapsed into his arms. "You're safe," he said quietly. She cried, holding on to him, shaking. Outside, the battle grew louder. The gods tried to flee. Human ships moved with calm precision, cutting off escape paths. Another beam struck. One god screamed louder than all the others and broke. Apart. Silence followed. The alien people across the planet watched the sky in disbelief. A god was dead. Remaining gods panicked. "You will regret this," they screamed. They rushed toward the edge of space, tearing a hole into darkness. Human weapons fired again. 2 more gods fell, but one escaped. It vanished into the void. Wounded and furious. Inside the temple, the storm faded. The ground stopped shaking. The high priest stood slowly. "It's over," he whispered. The human looked up at the sky. "Not yet." The human fleet sent a final message. Threat neutralized. Planet secured. Alien soldiers lowered their weapons. Priests removed their robes. The woman stood beside the human. Free at last. She looked around at the fallen temple. So many died for lies, she said. The high priest bowed his head. "We believed fear was faith," he said. "We were wrong." He looked at the human. "What do we do now?" The human thought for a moment. "Now," he said, "you rebuild." Human ships landed gently across the planet. Not with soldiers. With engineers. Doctors. Terroring machines. The alien people watched, confused and afraid. The human commander appeared again. "We will help you heal your world," she said. "But you will never sacrifice another." "Life." The high priest nodded slowly. "We swear it." The woman looked at the human who saved her. "You didn't have to." "Stay," she said. He smiled. "Humans, don't leave when it matters." Far away, in the dark between stars, something watched. Wounded. Angry. Waiting. The last god had not forgotten. The universe was quiet again. Human ships moved slowly around the alien planet, not as guards, but as protectors. Machines worked gently on the surface, cleaning poisoned soil, restoring water, and calming the unstable sky. For the first time in centuries, the alien world felt hope. Inside a small medical station near the old temple, the human woman sat on a clean bed. The burns on her wrists were healing. Her eyes were no longer full of fear. The human stood near the window, watching the sky. "You're going home soon," he said. She nodded, then paused. "Why did you come back for me?" He thought for a moment. Because no one should die to keep a lie alive. Far away, beyond known space, the last god drifted through darkness. Broken. Hurt. Furious. Fed on old fear. Gathering strength, planning revenge. Humans will fall. It whispered, but it was wrong. Human. Sensors detected the distortion instantly. A single human ship appeared in front of the eyes. Wounded god. Not a fleet. Just one. They. God laughed weakly. "You come alone?" The human commander's voice echoed calmly. "No," she said. "We come prepared." The ship activated an ancient device. One, built from lessons learned long ago. Light surrounded the god. Not violent, not angry. Final. The god screamed. Not in pain, but in understanding. For the first time. It felt fear. Then it was gone. Forever. Back on the alien world. The sky cleared completely. Blue replaced red. The storms ended. The alien people gathered near the ruins of the temple. The high priest stood before them, no longer wearing his old robes. "Our gods are gone," he said, "and we are still here." No one cried. No one panicked. They felt free. Human leaders met with alien councils. Knowledge was shared. Science returned. The old temple was not rebuilt. Instead, a garden grew there. The woman boarded a human ship, ready to return home. Before leaving, she turned back one last time. "You saved more than me," she said. The human smiled. "You saved them too." By surviving, the ship lifted off. Across the galaxy, a message spread from humans to every world listening. We are not gods. We do not demand worship. We do not trade life for fear. We are human. And we choose mercy. The stars remained silent, but this time they were watching with respect.